Devin Graves here, coming to you once again from Studio D. And I want to talk today about the controversy that's been surrounding vocal coach Ken Tamplin. Now, I've been enjoying Ken's show for years. I think he's actually a very good singer, and I assume he's a good vocal teacher. He certainly sounds like he knows what he's talking about. He sounds very well educated, very well spoken. He definitely can sing, and he definitely can play guitar. Can he teach? That's the subject of another question I can't answer. But in uncovering a lot of videos that I found, once this subject came up, there was a lot of very strong criticism against his teaching methods. And this I can't speak to or against. This is just what I've come across. Now, the question is why is this happening to him? Well, the first thing I want to say is that I had, as I said, been watching his show for years, and I enjoyed his shows. I enjoyed his singing for the most part, especially some of his cover tunes, especially most of the classic rock stuff. I think he's really, really good at what he does. I had always assumed that he was lip syncing over those performances, simply because I'm an experienced vocalist myself. I know exactly how microphones behave. The tiniest anomalies from a turn of the head or moving back this way or that. And I've even seen him address this. Somebody had confronted him in a video, and he was talking about his microphone. It's a Neumann M149. And he claims that, this mic is so great, it just captures everything. I can turn my head, I can move, I can shake my head, and it picks it up perfectly. Well, I have Neumanns too. I have a U67, I have a pair of U87s, I have an M149, and among other microphones. And I've sang through numerous other microphones, U47s, all kinds. And although they have different sounds and different characteristics, there's one immutable law of physics that they all cannot overcome, is that the microphone's not a compressor. It's going to have a different color if I move off axis, on axis. If I move a little further away, especially a room like he has, which is quite reverberant, if he moves further away, you're going to start to hear more of that room, especially when you compress it. And I know I've seen a video where he runs two compressors, similar to what I do. My room is super dead, so if it compresses, the room isn't going to be brought into the picture, but in his case, it certainly would be. And I know this, and I don't, I think this. I don't want to, proclaim to know that Ken was lip syncing on those videos, but it's not only the proximity of the microphone, but the subtle variations in how he's singing, what he's singing. And although just about everything he's doing is really well timed, little tiny inflections, the way an ah turns into an o or whatever, the slightest variation in time between the sound and what I see, it doesn't jive. And I never really had a problem with that. I kind of assumed that's how it would be. Any vocalist that records a song all the way through probably has multiple takes, all the way in it. The problem that I have is when he professes that he is singing it all the way through, and he's singing it on the spot, and seeing this Wings of Pegasus video about the subject with this kind of undisputable proof, where not only was he lip syncing in his own studio, but talking about him lip syncing live. And I've seen his reaction video to that didn't really bring up any proof. It just was words in his defense. And he shows a little, waveform example on the bottom of his screen, talking about how there are literally hundreds of points where his singing is different live that somebody else had pointed out. But I noticed he didn't actually show his proof. And based on what Phil from Wings of Pegasus was saying, is that some parts were live. The lower sections The lower registers were live, and the higher registers, according to Phil and his research, were lip synced. And I would dare say that this is at least better than lip syncing the whole thing. There's a whole world full of professional, famous, top tier singers that are lip syncing live. And there are many reasons they do this. If it's a TV performance, they just can't. It's just not possible for them to have the audio production for a live performance. It's just kind of the way it is. The problem that I have with it is how he professes that any vocal coach should be able to sing flawlessly. I saw him talk about how he has sang flawlessly for 30 years live, night after night after night, even regardless of his health. He said he missed only one gig because of double pneumonia, and all the other gigs, he not only showed up and sang, but sang perfectly. And where I take issue with that is a very unrealistic goal for anyone. With all due respect to Ken, I think the world is filled with singers that I would much rather listen to than him, including singers that he has put down, Freddie Mercury being a big one. And I think that Ken is focusing on all the wrong details when he points out little flaws, so-called flaws. He was critiquing the isolated vocal track of Somebody to Love. Freddie Mercury delivering such an amazing, dynamic, heartfelt, feelingful performance. And at the very, very, very end, the very, very last word kind of trails down a little bit flat. And that's what Ken jumps on. Do you see? And he's talking about how he would have done it so much better, talking about how his vibrato is better. And this is my problem with Ken, is he has crowned himself a king. I've heard him crown himself the king of distortion. I've heard him talk about himself as he had claimed that he was one of the best guitar players in the world. This is laughable. He's an excellent guitar player. We could leave it at that, an excellent guitar player. But one of the finest in the world? Man, stand in line behind a million other guys. He talks about having 40 albums and 1,000 songs. And this is probably true. I don't have any reason not to believe this, but my question is, what album, what song? I mean, it's not anything I've ever heard and not anything I know of. And so, I mean, anyone can put out 40 albums. Of course, that is hard work, but at his age, maybe he could have that behind him. But the point is like, how have those albums penetrated into our musical culture? And this is my point about his emphasis on what he teaches as a vocal coach. He's always talking about this power and range, and he's always pointing out songs mostly from the 80s and singers from the 80s. And this, in my opinion, is valid, but it's a very dated style. And for someone who has never sung or who wants to learn how to sing, to come into a vocal course of somebody promising them a 4-octave range, promising them that it's possible for anybody. And I would agree, maybe it is possible. But I am also a vocal coach, and my emphasis is completely different than his. I'm not going to take every singer in the world, find some baritone or bass singer, and start teaching them up into the high tenor range. No. What I'm going to do is I'm going to listen to this singer. I'm going to listen to their strengths. I'm going to uncover their weaknesses. And I'm going to emphasize what it is they already have and teach them how to use that. Because a 4-octave range, big deal. If your music is not interesting, compelling, memorable, if your voice doesn't have character and you just sound like another of the million singers that are singing with a 4-octave range, all bluesy and belty, over singing, etc. Big deal. What about Jim Morrison? Somebody going to dogpile on Jim Morrison for not having a 4-octave range? It is a very narrow range. Very low voice, no power, but a voice and a character. And you hear Jim Morrison, and you know you're hearing Jim Morrison. And what's more, he's a fantastic, incredible writer. And this is the stuff that makes for greatness. Great ideas, great writing. That's why Kurt Cobain made such an impact. 4-octave range? No. But excellent ideas, excellent lyrics, excellent melodies. Such a clever melody writer, the way he works chromatically against his chord structures. Brilliant, absolutely brilliant. In my course, I want to emphasize things like this. I have a chapter on songwriting. I have a chapter on writing great lyrics. And I talk about emphasizing your strengths. Getting good with what you have, not worrying about what you don't have. Sure, there are exercises that will help you build your range, and you're going to build your range naturally just by practicing. But range isn't everything. What's better is having accuracy in your pitch, having emotion in your delivery, having good support, which Ken talks about support, which is key to delivering a good performance. But it's about finding the artist within you, finding the unique you. My vocal course is not called Sing Better Than Anyone Else. It's called Sing Like a Rock Star. And maybe I'm guilty of using this controversy as a way to springboard my singing course. And it's true, I am. But I'm not in pursuit of views, money, and all this. Of course, all those things would be nice. Click subscribe, please. But I just want to bring a different perspective into this whole idea of vocal coaching, that it's not about being the next Robert Plant or Ian Gillan or David Coverdale or all these vocalists that, if you listen to popular music today, you don't hear very many singers that have these kind of ranges. There are some, and there will probably be more, but it's not going to be their range and their power that put them where they are. It's going to be a combination of many, many things. If you check out my course on Sing Like a Rock Star, I bring out all of these different things that people should pay attention to. Image, style, continuity between your image and your sound. There are so many things that make a rock star what they are. And I have really, really put together a course that I believe really gives a complete overview of how to approach becoming a singer, a lead vocalist in a band, a songwriter, a lyricist, a frontman. All of these things, and I do it in a way that will use what you already have to the best of your ability, to bring out the best in what you already have. And another thing that turned me off about Ken is how every time a vocal coach comes online and offers their course, he always finds this and then disses it. He always says, they're not legitimate, only I'm legitimate, and here's why. And this is where that lip-syncing thing really comes to haunt him. Because being exposed like this, it's something that people that are jealous of him, envious of him, or competing with him are waiting to attack. And now it's dogpile on Ken Tamplin. And to be honest, I feel a little sorry for Ken. I think he's legitimate. I think he's doing something good, at least something he believes is good, but I just disagree with the emphasis in which he's teaching singing, and I think he's wrong about certain things about his technique. Everybody talks about his little sausage tongue, and I've heard him say, oh, that's the way his tongue is completely relaxed, and that's just absolutely not true. Your tongue would never curl in, bunch in and point up by being relaxed. Your tongue by being relaxed would be like this. And what's more, when you're singing, you want to drop that tongue. it works for him, fine. But when he defends himself and says, oh no, that's how relaxed I am, I'm not buying it. If I do what he does, I have to use muscles in the back of my throat to pull that up and back. That is not relaxed. There's a lot of things about Ken that I just simply don't believe. And I would much rather him admit to his flaws and say, yeah, that's something that it's kind of going against what I teach, but it works for me. It's different. He just denies everything that would critique anything that he's teaching, anything that he's doing in his technique. So I'm really not here to dogpile on Ken. I am admittedly capitalizing on the flow of all this controversy. I certainly wish Ken all the best. I wish I want to thank Ken for all of his content. I still watch your show. I'm not as interested in watching your cover tunes anymore as I used to be. And I'm not interested in seeing the pretty girls singing. I'm just not interested in that. I'm interested in the vocal tips, some of which I really like and some of which I don't think there's any vocal tip Ken has mentioned that I completely disagree with. But what I do disagree with is when he points out other singers, critiques other singers, famous singers, and points out how they're doing it and how he would do it, as if him doing it right or him doing it better. And each and every time he's ever demonstrated how he would do it, I thought it sounded bad. I thought it sounded nasal. When he does his thing about it's the la, and then sings his la sound, I don't like the nasal, throaty sound. I just don't like it. And I wouldn't want to sing like that. So, with all due respect, I think that Ken needs to take himself down a peg or two so that other people don't try to do it for him. And that's what's happening here. Everybody's jumping on him because he has crowned himself the king. And there is a world out there. There's a world of excellent singers. There is a world of perspectives out there. And whether I'm the greatest singer in the world or not is not for me to proclaim. That's for the listener, and that is a highly subjective opinion. I have my crowd, I have my audience, and to them I'm very grateful, eternally grateful. At my age, I'm now 58 as of shooting this video. I still have every bit the range that I used to have. I'm not sure I have the stamina I used to have, but I could still sing all those high notes. And in fact, people talk about, oh, can he sing the high notes live? I'm talking about Ken. I even mentioned in my course about getting sick and dealing with being sick on the road, that the high notes aren't the challenge. If you can sing high, the high notes sometimes get easier when you're sick. You can even sometimes go higher. It's the chest, upper mids, or sometimes the soft voice if you are having a swollen larynx, if you have something afflicting you. And that's the reality, that you're going to have your off nights no matter how great of a singer you are. You're going to have nights where you can't do it, or at least you can't do it as good as you could before the night before. And maybe the night after you're going to do it great again. And that's the bad thing about YouTube, is someone's going to catch that bad night and give an epic fail video on you. And that's just the nature of it all. And that I think sucks. And allegations that Ken Tamplin has been lip syncing since the 90s, I cannot confirm nor deny that, but Wings of Pegasus has some evidence to that effect. I don't want to add fuel to that fire, but if that is indeed the case, then his whole premise on what makes him an amazing vocal coach now has completely lost its legitimacy. But I'm here to tell you that you can't have a 30-year career being on the road every night and sing perfect every night. You know, maybe Pavarotti could do it. Maybe. I don't know. I don't know if he's have off nights or not. I don't know. A singer like that is different than a rock singer. Anytime you're getting this, what he calls glottal compression, or what I also call glottal compression, anytime you get into this territory, you're asking for trouble. And it's really difficult to know when you're going too far. So singing clear is always a safer bet, and the opera singers probably have a easier task ahead of them. It's not, easier isn't the right word, but less dangerous task. Let's put it that way. But the rock singer is really walking a tightrope with all this distortion. And there's a kind of distortion that I love, the way Freddie Mercury would get it, the way Dio would get it, the way Ian Anderson would get it, especially on the album Aqualung. There's a grit to it, but it is dangerous. There's not a safe way to do that. And if you promise that there is, it's just not true. And there's another excellent vocal coach out there named Chris Lippe, and he shows his distortion. And he teaches a type of distortion, except it's just nothing I want to use. It's too much of that fry. It's not my taste, not my style. And the style that I have, sometimes I really find that sweet spot where I can do it and it's not causing me any damage, but not always. I've been singing since I was 17 years old. This is 40 years. And I still haven't got that distortion thing down, like to where it's just no problem, safe, easy. I don't have it. And the singers that do sing so distorted, you would never know if they have a bad night or not. But I'm a melodic singer, and I premise my vocals on a clear sound, and I get distortion around the edges to my own risk. But I will never promise you that you're never going to have a bad night, especially if you want to sing with distortion. I will never promise you a 4-octave range, and I'm not even sure you even want that. What I am going to promise you is that I'm going to give you excellent vocal lessons, and I offer a version of the course that is the digital course that you can watch, plus live assessments where I come online with you 6 different times throughout the course, or more, but I charge you more if you want more, but not much. I heard that Ken's charging $750 an hour. I'm not charging, but less than 1/7 of that, okay? But what I can promise you is that I am an excellent teacher. I am. I can see what you're doing. And maybe because I'm able to do impressions of people, like all kinds of impressions, kind of like a stand-up comedian, I can do impressions of voices, impressions of singers. And if you don't know what's going wrong with your singing, I can reflect. I can do an impression of what I'm hearing, and then I can describe what I'm doing with the musculature to do that. And there I can help you find the correction. So my emphasis is completely different than Ken's. I don't want to throw Ken under the bus or say, hey, don't listen to Ken, don't take lessons from Ken. I'm just saying that it may or may not be for you. And if it's not, I really might be the guy to come to. And it would be really worth it, and it would really mean a lot to me if you would give me a try. My vocal course, once again, is called Devin Graves, Sing Like a Rock Star. I'm putting a link in the description below. And I just want to wish you the best. I wish Ken the best. Godspeed on your recovery from this. Ken, if I could say anything to you, and it might be too late because of how deep you've dug in your heels, but it seems that most people don't believe you and about the lip syncing thing, and it might be better for you if you just come clean. Every one of my videos, I have some videos on my channel where I tell a story and then I sing a song with an acoustic guitar. That is all 100% live, 100% no punch-ins, on the fly. On the version of I Remember, even the flute is live, but the flute is a little bit out of sync, and I just didn't want to spend any time figuring out why that happened. But it was all live. Everything I do is absolutely live, unless it's a music video. And by nature, a music video can't be live because the music is already made, recorded, mixed, mastered. And then you make a video to that, like my song Angel in the Dark, of obviously lip syncing. There's no microphone. But any of my live videos, I'm actually playing, I'm actually singing, and I'm going to do more and more and more of those. Probably without the stories this time, maybe some sing-overs, some sing-like videos, sing like Dio, how to sing like Bowie, how to sing like Ozzy, how to sing like whoever. As I said, I'm really good at doing impressions, and I might be the first guy to actually sing like the people I'm trying to teach you to sing like, and then I can tell you what I'm doing. And I often find that many people can do an impression of somebody once they hear somebody else do an impression of that person. And what Ken's doing when he says how to sing like this person, how to sing like that person, he doesn't really sing anything like them. He just sings the song in his own way. There's nothing wrong with that, but it's not singing like them. And if I make a video sing like Ozzy, you can bet I'll be doing my best Ozzy impression. Whether or not I nail it is up for you to decide. But I will give you whatever wisdom I can about how I'm doing what I'm doing, and those videos will be coming up in the future. So I thank you all for your time and for your attention. I thank Wings of Pegasus. I thank Phil for all the hard work he does for his presentation. I think it's fantastic. Ken Tamplin, I really feel for you, man. But I think there's a lot of this you kind of brought on yourself. And I would suggest you just come clean. And maybe your channel and your course will be better for it. If you just admit that, yeah, you're going to have off nights. Yeah, I've had off nights. Or, yeah, I lip sync this. I mean, God forbid. I've never lip synced a live performance, and I have had backing tracks. And backing tracks we've been doing since the 90s, playing either the sequencer live, and as the technology grew, we threw the background vocals in there, but never a lead vocal, never a lead performance. And there's a difference between a backing track and a lead track. And nobody ever has a problem with backing tracks. Nobody's ever raised issue with that. Nobody's ever shined a light on, oh, there's not a real choir behind that singer or a real orchestra. No, it's only the lead performance where performers start to take heat for lip syncing. And this is something I've never done. There may have been nights where I should have, but I didn't. And I never intend to. And once it comes to that, my career is over. There's no point in me standing on a stage if I can't deliver the goods. And from what I believe and what I've seen on the Wings of Pegasus show, that Ken is singing half live and half not. That's my belief. My belief is that the high stuff is lip synced and that the low stuff is live. That's my belief. I am entitled to that belief. I have reasons I do believe that. So having said all that, I wish Ken nothing but the best. I really love him from a video he made called How I Became Ken Tamplin. Very touching story, brought tears to my eyes. I saw that he got really choked up on some moments. Unfortunately, if he's lying about this stuff, I see how comfortably he can lie, and so it brings into question how much of that story is true as well. Sorry to drag that dark cloth over that because it is a beautiful video. I actually recommend you check it out. Maybe it'll win you over to Ken's heart, win Ken over to your heart. But, crown yourself a king and the whole town will be out for your head, the whole village. So with that, I'll see you on the next one.